Welcome back, everyone. This is Mo Investing, and we keep things short and sweet, so let's jump straight in. Now, Novo Nordisk, known for their medications Ozempic and Wegovy, is a healthcare company that specializes in mainly making obesity and diabetes medications. So those are their two main sources of revenue. Now, they also have a segment for rare disease that provides medications for things like hemophilia and growth disorders. If we look at some of the numbers as well, Novo Nordisk's market cap is at 182 billion, with a trailing 12-month PE of 11 and a next 12-month PE of 12, and then similarly a 2027 PE of 12 as well. Their price to sales comes in at 3.77, and their dividend yield is pretty good at 4.5%. Now, Novo stock price is down quite a bit from its all-time high. So at the end of 2024, the stock price was in and around $140. And right now it's dropped all the way down to $41. There's a couple of reasons for this. Now, Novo has struggled quite a bit in 2025. They've had constant lowered guidance with lowered guidance for a couple of quarters in a row. There was a board shakeup as well in 2025. And then there was major restructuring with cutting 9K jobs. And they also had a new CEO come in at the first half of 2025. And then there was increased competition from the likes of Eli Lilly for their medications, and then the compounded versions of their drugs as well, taking market share. Now, looking at some of the latest developments with Novo, starting off with the headwinds, there was the Trump administration's implementation of most favored nations drug pricing. So this was an agreement with Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk to reduce the prices of GLP-1 medications. So that's massively degraded their pricing power. There's also the CagriSema trials, which is for Novo's next generation of obesity treatment. So in the phase 3, I believe, of the Redefine 4 trial, Novo's CagriSema failed to beat Eli Lilly's version of the medication convincingly, which also caused the stock price to decrease as well. Now, semaglutide, which is the core ingredient in their Ozempic and Wegovy medications, has patents due to expire in some key markets such as Brazil, Canada, and China in 2026, which will affect them with cheaper versions coming out in those markets. So that will affect revenue in 2026 and 2027. Now, looking at some of the tailwinds for Novo, they've successfully launched the Wegovy pill, which is the first obesity pill that's FDA approved, and they've reached 100K in weekly prescriptions and growing. So that's good there. They've also partnered with OpenAI to improve drug discovery. So it's good to see them being on the forefront with AI as well. They've also partnered up with Hims, converting a former competitor now that was producing a lot of the compounded versions of the GLP-1 medications into a partner. So they have become a distribution channel for them, and they've stopped selling their compounded versions of GLP-1s, which are illegal. There's also a tailwind that I don't hear mentioned a lot, which is the large unmet need for their medications. So as we can see in this graphic here, there's 550 million people living with type 1 or type 2 diabetes, as well as 900 million people living with obesity. So there's a large target market for their medications that they can still grow into. Now, if we look at their Q4 2025 earnings report, which is the latest, their sales growth for 2025 compared to 2024 came in at 10%. Their operating profit growth was 6%, and the free cash flow was 29 DKK, which is Danish kroner, I believe, and 52 billion was returned to the shareholder via dividends. Now, if we look at guidance, this is another thing that has caused the stock to trend down significantly. So they reported guidance for 2026 to come in between minus 5%, minus 5% and minus 13%, and operating growth or operating profit growth to also come in between minus 5% and minus 13%. So a significant lowering in guidance for 2026. Now, for valuation, it's kind of hard to value Novo at this point. You need to believe that they are capable of turning things around, and the story really extends out to past 2027. So if you're looking for a recovery in the stock, you should expect a longer time horizon for that to occur. Now, saying that, if we do a discounted cash flow evaluation of Novo, we can pretty much expect them to be flat for 2026 in terms of EPS growth. But then for my base case for Novo, let's say they're able to regrow the business starting from 2027. I'll give them an EPS growth rate of 5, and I recommend you play around with these calculations to see what you think as well. So let's say we give them an EPS growth rate of 5. CAGR for the next 5 years, and we expect the exit multiple to be around 15. So I expect some multiple expansion to happen as well for Novo. We can see that the stock price by 2031 could be around $70. So decent returns, not super great, but you have to believe in their ability to reinvigorate growth from 2027 onwards. Now, if I was to give Novo a rating, I'd give it a rating of 3 based on the degradation of their pricing power. They also face a lot of competition, and the situation right now really for Novo has turned into a prove yourself type of situation. So I think a 3 rating is appropriate here. I do expect them to be able to recover. They're a 100-year-old company, so they do have a lot of distribution channels and a lot of R&D and things set up already, so they should be able to recover from here. In terms of verdict, I think it's kind of hard to ignore their valuation right now. It's very depressed compared to their historical averages, so any positive momentum, I think we'll see some multiple expansion happen. So I'm going to give them a verdict of a buy right now. So yeah, that's it for the video. Let me know what you think. Is Novo fighting an uphill battle they won't be able to recover from, or will there be a decent recovery with this being a deep valuation play that's hard to ignore? And thanks for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.